Cool, we are live now. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Sorry for the delay. We were having technical difficulties on my end, trying to figure out. I don't know what was going on. My echo was off. My Wi-Fi was like going in and out. So, but we're here now. We're here. We're live, ready to go. And I have a special guest with me on the channel,
Woo!
Christian Christian Anime Podcast. I'm excited to have him on as we get to celebrate milestones over the course of the
Yeah.
year. So, bro, this like tell people how are you doing? What's going on, man?
Hey, folks. I'm pretty chuffed with myself actually because I didn't think I would get the Jujutsu Kaisen video out by the end of the year. So I'm pretty happy with that. Otherwise, I've had a brilliant Christmas. I hope everyone in the audience has had a pretty good Christmas as well. And yeah, I hope you're still enjoying your holidays. Almost New Year as well. So
Mhm.
the year has gone very, very quickly. So yeah, it's just something to take note of. And I'm so thankful for, I guess, for your channel as well, and for everyone who's been supporting us over the past year as well. Because yeah, we really couldn't have done it without you guys. So thank you so much if you've been if you've been here since last year as well. So thank you, everyone.
Yo, your journey, bro, has been like it's been amazing. Like honestly, it's been
Mm,
motivating for me to see, for me to watch. Because like just around this time last year, you were like just a little over like 1,000, right? Oh, a little over a
yeah,
thousand subs. Now you're at 2,000, which is like, well, you're probably cracking 3,000 at some point at some point in the near
yeah,
future. So your growth has been like kind of crazy. I feel like I guess I'm kind of experiencing this now. It's like when you get to this, like when you get at least when you get over the 1,000 sub mark, right? It feels like you're just like you're kind of like coasting. Like you're not like you may not be growing as like kind of like crazy, but you're growing like maybe like gradually, like at a slower, like not at a
mm,
slower pace, but more like, oh, like I'm growing in subscribers like probably like every week, or I'm like
yeah,
or even
yeah.
every day, because like people are like watching your videos now. Probably the YouTube is like pushing yourself in the algorithm. Like what, like for you, like what's been that growth like for you? Like what's been like
Yeah.
over the course of the year?
I think it's been like as you said, it's been pretty gradual. And there's been no major dips. I don't think. If I look at the, let me look at the graph. I always look at this graph, and it's really unhealthy for me. Because I think that's something as content creators, which is unfortunately um our success is tied to how many people are watching us all the
Hmm.
time, and it's probably bad for my mental health. But yeah, I'm looking at the graph, and it's a pretty gradual increase. And I think most of us as content creators were really looking for that viral hit where we go up, where it's like just a straight line up. But I think it's also good that this is sustainable growth, right? Which is every week we're getting subscribers. It doesn't have to be completely over the top. And I think when we do eventually, we will reach like our breakout moment at some point, um, depending on when YouTube does that. Which is yeah, I think there was also a month, I can't remember when it was. It was either September or October when I just didn't post anything, and it's just still amazing to me that even though I didn't post anything, the channel was still growing. Not at the rate that I wanted it to, but it was still sustainably growing as well. So I think it's all in God's plan, right? It's all growing at the rate that is sustainable as well, because there is an audience for this sort of stuff on YouTube. So I'm pretty confident in that, and I think over the year as well, I've slowly um, yeah, I've just been less worried about the numbers in that sense. So yeah.
Yeah, nah, that's a good place to be. I think. Yeah, I relate. I think over the course of the year, like honestly, like it it can feel really hard to like not want to worry about the numbers, right? I think for me, I was definitely
Mm,
having like a little bit of like uh creator anxiety, I guess, because like especially when I was getting closer to the like 1,000 sub mark, where it was like like I'm close, I'm there, and it's like. at any moment, like I could like, YouTube could just stop recommending my stuff, or I could,
Yeah.
have a slump and just not post anything and nobody watch my videos and stuff. And I I think it has been kind of, yeah, it's been a lot of just like, let me just continue checking my YouTube Studio app just to see like are numbers going up? Like are what's the analytics like? Which is like kind of crazy because I thought like starting out I would just not care about analytics. I would not care about numbers. I would not care about people watching my stuff. I would just be posting and posting. And then the further you go up into like I guess the YouTube ladder, I guess you're just like you're more worried about that stuff than like you thought you were. Right? I think
Mm,
I definitely seen the shift in me like being worried about, or not necessarily worried, but being like caring about, okay, who's watching my stuff, what time am I watching, or are people watching my things, are people actually wanting to like this stuff or watch this stuff, and like you said, there's an audience for it. So bro, congrats on the success for sure. Like what have you learned about yourself, like kind of in this whole process and this whole journey?
yeah.
Yeah, about to crack 3,000 and yeah.
Mm. Oh, and well, while you've congratulated me as well, I also want to really congratulate you, mate, for reaching 1,000 subs for in a year. Because I think it's, I was reading the statistic off of vidIQ, and I think it was like most YouTubers get to 1,000 subs in 2 years, or a little more over 2 years. So really, well, good on you, mate, for really hitting that and being consistent. It's so good that you've got this audience as well, and I like that we've both got our niches, which is we're both in like the Christian anime space, but I think
Mm,
for your sort of content, I see the stuff that's really resonating with people, which is the just th- showing stuff from like a black perspective, or showing the perspective of the black community. I think that's kind of your niche now,
mhm.
as well, which people really do resonate with. So I really do want to congratulate you as well, that you've also found your place on YouTube, and that's so good to have another creator in this space. Um, it's so heartwarming that we're able to like share the space together, and that we're not alone um, in this as well. So
Yeah.
um,
No, go
yeah,
ahead, go ahead.
yeah, and coming to your question in terms of what did I learn about myself, I've been I've actually it's crazy because I've started like prayer journaling, and just it's cool because I've started praying more to God as well. I think without this channel, I don't think like all of the success I find on my channel, I am in this place where I can either depend more on God and want to say it's all this all of these things, all of my successes are because of God. And I'm in over the year, I've tried not to fall into the trap of like, no, this is my stuff. Like this is my
Mhm.
success. This is my work. Um and I've really tried my best not to fall into that trap, because um I still haven't told like my parents about this stuff, and a lot of my friends I've told about already. And I think there's that sense of pride in me that I don't want to really nurture, and I don't want to feed that pride in myself as well. So um yeah, that's the biggest thing that I've learned about myself as well, which is of all of the sins in my life, and there's still some sin issues that I face, but I think the sense of pride is something that I want to be careful um, not to feed, and not to um, keep on nurturing, if you get what I mean as well. So
Yeah, no, I get that, and, like, what do you think, like, and if you don't mind me asking, like, what kinda is like, you said pride for sure, what do you think that, like, the response would be from, like, people that you haven't told yet? "Hey, like, I have this, like, thriving YouTube channel now in this with this audience," like, what
yeah,
do what do you think the response would be? I feel like I have some of my own, because there's I mean, probably at this point, some people, a lot of people know, or people in my own circles know that I have a YouTube channel. But what for
yeah,
you, like, what would that response be, or what's like kind of the fear behind behind that, I guess.
yeah. I think with my the reason why I haven't told my parents yet. You probably aren't aware of this, but most of us folks who are in Australia, most of us young folks, we still live with our parents, right? And I think the fear for me is like, um, I guess I want to be able to present something that, oh hey, look at what I've made, and it's actually making money, and
Mm,
it's this is my job now, and this is my career. And I guess the fear is I don't want them, because I'm still living under the like their care, of course, and I don't want them to um kind of try and influence my creative decisions, because that's kind of what's happened in the past, which is whatever I'm doing, they always want to try and push in, and that's kind of my fear with it. Because I'm perfectly comfortable like telling my friends about it, and the reason why I'm perfectly comfortable is because um, I think it comes into that like pride as well, which is I'm able to show something that this is that I've provided something of value to society, and that's why I'm perfectly comfortable with my friends knowing about it, because I guess um it adds to my worth in their eyes.
mm,
Um, so yeah, again, it's a place that I still need to navigate. It's a place that I need to. I've been praying a lot about as well. So, um, but otherwise, I think at some point I will tell my parents, and it's the point when I am actually making money off of this, which is one of our future goals, both of us. Which is we do want this to become a not necessarily a full time thing, but something that we're able to um, make some money off of, right? So, yeah.
yeah, that's good. That's good, man. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing your heart in
Mm.
that. I get that. That could be like that's a tough spot to be in. Um, so I appreciate that. I think kind of if I'm sharing one of my own fears, right? I think so. I have a full time job. I work in a full time ministry job. I won't say who I work for because I don't want to
Yeah, yeah, of
influence
course.
the channel off of that or even get my own place under fire for whatever I might say that way. But I think one of the things one of my fears, right, is that like I would say is that right kind of in talking about my own job, it's like, oh, like if someone finds out that like that I work for this ministry and yet like um and yeah, I also do this channel. I feel like
Mm,
one it I'm not saying that it could be taken away from me, but I think it could kind of get in the way of what I want what I want to do that's separate from what I do in ministry work. And
mm,
you know, I think and this has been I think I've shared my heart with you in this like kind of with or and you know this as well with Christians and like how some Christians do anime. I feel like even in my own working circles,
mm,
there are people have some perception about anime that like you know could impact my own personal ministry and even you know what I'm doing on YouTube. So I think what my kind of my fear is like kind of anyone finding out that I have this. Which I mean, when you're on a public platform, it's kind of like people might end up seeing you, right? Especially
yeah,
however big God allows us to grow. Um, you know, I think it's kind of inevitable at this point, but that's definitely one of my fears of this having
yeah.
someone like in my own working space finding out that I like do this and like there's an audience
Mm.
that's growing from this and they're just like, oh, you sure you should be doing that as a you know Christian worker? So that's definitely like one of my fears for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
I
me-
I do wanna speak to that as well, 'cause, there's a reason why I haven't, like, shown my face.
mm,
And that's because it's kinda crazy, because there's a comedian here in Australia who said a couple of jokes, and because of that, he was, like, brought to the Human Rights Commission, which is, like, this big it's not a really powerful organization, but it's something that it's a pain, right? It's a thorn in someone's side, because if you
mhm.
say something wrong, then you'll be called up, and you have no choice but to attend if there's someone who's complained, right? Um, so that's one of the things which I think is um, yeah, that's why I haven't shown my face, which is it's not that there are consequences for my actions and I don't want to face those consequences, but that hostility towards Christian messaging and Christians here in Australia is so big that I don't want to unnecessarily like face the consequences for it. And if I'm
Mm,
able to like not show my face, that's the good thing about being a PNG tuber, which is I'm able to show this PNG model of myself, and I'm not I'm able to like not speak to that. Um,
yep.
in terms of like other Christians, I was I wasn't told off, but one of the pastors in my life who I really respect, he was talking about how because my own persona in my church as well is that I'm that guy who watches anime, and I'm
Mm,
that guy who also knows a lot about anime. So this pastor who I really respect didn't necessarily tell me off, but he was talking about how I shouldn't really be tying my identity to anime. And he was talking about how like women are really turned off to people who really like anime, and you won't be respected if you're someone who ties their personality around anime. And this talk was recent as well, which is, I think, that's another thing. That's another reason why I prefer to be anonymous in these things. Then, um, yeah, I do have that fear as well, and and that's not to say that you've completely messed up if you've shown your face on the internet, but
mm,
it's something. It's also a fear that I speak to, that I've felt as well, and like a big pastor in my life as well, who I really respect, has also told me off. So yeah.
sheesh, man. I mean, how do you like with that? How do you feel? 'Cause I think it's significant. Like, and I think it's
Mm,
amazing that like um you're connected to a local church, right? I think it's amazing that
mm,
you're connected to a local church, that you have people that can speak into your life to, talk to you about, different things or certain things, but like kind of taking that advice, especially like sort of like, hey, like if you're
mm,
watching anime, like you're gonna have like women that don't respect you or anything like that.
yeah,
Like, how does that come off to you? How does that is that especially going forward in the direction of the channel, like, and it's like potential to make money from it,
yeah,
like, how does that impact you?
yeah. It is a bit wild to me, and I think that's another thing he said as well, which is like he was very serious with me because he was like, if you want to be taken seriously, by other people, because um, I talk a lot about philosophy and stuff as well. So and if I want to be taken seriously, and politics as well, and if I want to be taken seriously in terms of politics and philosophy, I need to like cut out the anime in my life, and
Mm,
that was that was so wild to me. But I think it's even it's an even greater inspiration for me because I think we know there's an audience for this. Every single day, I get comments about Christians who do like anime, and they feel like they have been helped by my content because I'm showing a way that we can enjoy anime as Christians and that we
mhm,
can watch anime as Christians. I think it's um, the audience is there, people are there out there as well. So I think it's just an even greater inspiration to me that we do need to, I guess, improve our image as Christians who also watch anime, who like watching this medium, who are fans of this medium. So, yeah, it's a bit of a non-answer, but I think that's ultimately our long-term goal, which is we we want to be taken seriously by people who may not consider us to be taken seriously. Oh, butchered
yeah.
that, but you get what I mean, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's good. I find it like, I find it interesting, especially like because I think that's like kind of at least over the videos that I recently did with the black nerd videos that I've done. There's like kind of been this like idea, or at least idea or perception or experience that people had that like they weren't really embraced by women, or they were treated a certain way
Mm.
because they, they were into anime, they were into like nerd things. And I think like kind of hearing that, like hearing your pastor like kind of project that like um I guess fear. And I wouldn't say fear, but kind of be like, "Hey, this is going to be a thing if you're going to continue
Yeah.
doing this." It's like, this. I guess this is really a thing, which I'm not, I'm sure it was, but I'm like, that sucks. That sucks to hear,
Mm.
I mean, there are plenty of examples. Like I'm one. I mean, I guess I could be one of them. Like my wife enjoys anime. I enjoy anime. I mean, I couldn't say she was attracted to me because of that, but it was like that didn't turn her away. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so like I kind of, yeah, having that advice be thrown, or having that be said to you. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, yeah. But I think it's good that like what you've said, which is we just need to find like partners. I'm not married yet. I don't have a girlfriend. But and that's something that I respect about you too as well, which is you've kind of got your life together as well. Which while I have really because I'm still figuring stuff out. Um, but I think that's basically the solution, which is to find a community, to find a people who also like anime, or
Mm,
yeah, if it's a big part of your personality, and if I guess there are accommodations you can make, which is you can kind of cut stuff out as well, but at the same time, there are people out there, and finding those people, I don't think is difficult in this day and age,
yeah.
considering we do have the internet as well. So yeah, do we want to take questions? By the way,
Yeah, we could definitely take questions throughout this. We can take this first one. Yeah, if you guys have questions, like you guys are watching, please feel free to put them in the chat. Um, this NW, she says, or they say, as a fellow Christian creator, how do you guys deal with camera shyness and combining our faith with anime?
mm.
You want to take that?
Oh yeah, sure, sure. So, this is the one good thing I find, because I'm pretty into VTubers as well, and I do like the concept of VTubing. The reason why is because I think if you are camera shy, just become a VTuber, right?
Mm,
You don't have to show your face off. I think like you could speak more to camera shyness as well because you're actually on camera, but I think that's the beautiful thing about living in 2023 with the technology that we have and with the ways that we can express ourselves, which is I think you can just become a VTuber. And I have I have interacted with a lot of Christians who enter content creation through the method of VTubing because it's not necessarily that they're ugly in real life, or um, it may just be because they're camera shy. So I don't think you should like. I have no idea what your situation is, but if that's one thing that's stopping you from becoming a content creator, then I recommend to you to just become a VTuber. Um, in terms of combining our faith with anime, um, it's not necessarily we're combining our faith with anime, but how can we reconcile? Like it's just like any other media, right? Any form of media. While we're watching movies, or while we're listening to music, or while we're watching YouTube videos, right? How are we able to navigate those areas of our life through our faith, right? So yeah, I think it's not necessarily combining, but um, with our Christian worldview, I think we are able to watch these different pieces of media and we're able to evaluate them.
mm,
And we're able to take things which are helpful to us and which are uplifting, and we're able to reject things which are unhelpful and not uplifting, right? So I think that's the faith that we have. That's the Christian faith that we have, and that's what Jesus also calls us to do. So yeah.
yeah. Um, so I'll also speak to the camera shyness. I think being on camera is a weird thing, right? Because you're literally just
Mm,
talking to yourself. And so
so true.
yeah, and I think the fear too is that like when you put this stuff when you put what you're putting out, like when you put your content out, it's like people are gonna see it. And then like the fear is like, oh, are people gonna be judging me for how I look or what I say? And so for me personally, how I got over camera shyness was just to continue going at it every single day, right? Or not every single day, every
Mm,
single video that I was doing, I would just keep recording and recording, and also reconciling with the fact that it's going to be awkward. Right, like, looking at yourself or seeing yourself on camera, having other people see you on camera, maybe even having, your friends or family that you're gonna be posting stuff and you're gonna be posting stuff and people are gonna be seeing you. It's like you're recording yourself, you're making content, you're gonna be like you're like these other YouTube people that do videos, and it's like it's just very awkward, right? And I think the more you keep posting, the more you keep recording yourself, the more you keep getting yourself in front of the camera and being like, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna record what I gotta do. It makes it a little easier, right? Because I think consistency is just really important, right? The more you do it, the repetition you have, like you're just gonna get better at it. Like I ran track and field in high school, in college, and one of the things that they always tell you is like consistency, repetition is just what's gonna get you better because your muscles get used to what you're doing, right? And then you got to keep going up from there, right? So consistency, I think, is the uh, best way to do it. Just keep going at it, even
mm,
if you're scared. Sean Cannell from Think Media, he always talks about punching fear in the face.
mm,
You just gotta kind of punch fear in the face at that point, right? It's just like, it's gonna be awkward at first. Things aren't gonna go the way you want, but kind of keep doing it, keep going after it. Um, I think you answered like kind of integrating our faith with anime. I don't think it's necessarily yeah integrating with anime, but like yeah, pulling out the elements, pulling out the themes of what you see that can relate to the
mm,
worldview in which you believe, and showing like, hey, like even though this anime may be like this is how this points to the good news of Jesus. So I think how I view it, was it Matthew? It's a Sermon on the Mount where Jesus is talking about being light and being salt, right? Light
mm,
is for like lighting up dark places, right? And salt is for making things taste good, but also in that time savoring manure, making sure that for nutrients and stuff like that. And so how I at least I view it going into like creating content around anime and pointing out the themes that I see it's just being like, hey, I'm going in this community, I'm going to this space to be light and salt, right? Like there's things that are may not be the best about it, but hey, what as me as a believer, what am I gonna do in order to like pull out the things to glorify God? You know what I mean?
mm.
So I hope that answers NW's question. Um and then there's one more here. And then as you guys are watching, keep pulling in questions or putting in questions. Have you guys heard the woke localizers getting replaced by AI? Any thoughts? Any thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, I do. I was gonna do a video on this as well, but I decided not to because I wasn't I too busy over Christmas. I've heard about this. I think it's if you weren't aware, Eli, there's a massive group of translators working at Crunchyroll who are like who try to insert like slang into their translations, which is not true to the actual translation. So it's not a literal
Mm,
translation. They say localizing, but all they mean is like just inserting slang in it. Or
okay.
there's the pushing of like left wing political agendas in it as well. I saw this with Dragon Maid. One of the translations for Dragon Maid Sama was like oh yeah, we're gonna like the original translation was something to the effect of yeah, I just felt like wearing a different shirt today. But the localization on Crunchyroll was like, yeah, no, I just felt like trying to challenge the patriarchy today. That's why I'm wearing this shirt today. So it's like
Oh, okay.
yeah, so crazy. So um he said here as well, so did I and looks like I have to accept it because of how naughty these localizers are. Oh, so basically my position on it is I think it's unfortunate. It's so sad that it's always a tragedy when I think an artificial intelligence when AI is entering these workplaces and is
Mm,
kind of automating stuff which humans used to do. But at the same time, we kind of I do not really have sympathy for this faction of translators who are like trying to insert political agendas in. and are not translating the text faithfully. Um, and I think, like, obviously Crunchyroll. I don't think Crunchyroll's tired of it, but I'm pretty confident that the animation studios, who are trusting these companies to translate their works faithfully, I'm pretty sure they're sick and tired of it, and that's why AI is like a legitimate option. It's because they're not actually doing their job. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Shoot, I knew nothing about that. I gotta look more into that.
Yeah, yeah. Another egregious one was the dangers in my heart, where it was like the main protagonist was like, "Oh, did I just mansplain to this girl? Oh my goodness, I can't believe I just mansplained to her." Which is obviously mansplaining is not in the Japanese vocabulary, so I don't understand.
Huh.
Yeah. Um. Uh. I didn't know what I didn't see what the original translation was though, but yeah, obviously when you're putting that stuff in. I know there's also the use of sus has been really common um, throughout a couple of. I've seen a couple of cases of that on Crunchyroll where just not great. It's just not professional, and obviously it's not faithful to the text. So
That's so interesting. Okay, there we go. I have some homework to do. I didn't
yeah,
that sucks.
yeah,
Sh-
yeah.
Sheesh.
You'll be
Well,
right there. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, guys, please continue putting in questions. We love to answer them as best as we can. But I guess moving on from that, right? Like, what anime have you been watching over the course of the year? Uh, if you could give me like a top five, like what has
Top
been some
five
of the
anime.
the top five anime, or even just if you can't give me a top five, just anime you've been watching over the course of the year. What has
Yeah,
been
yeah.
like what stood out to you? What's like, yeah, been impactful to you?
Let me double check my anime list because I've basically have I made a video? Yes, I've basically made a video on every anime that I've watched. I'm pretty sure this year. So we started off this year. Let's yeah, sorry. This is very professional of me
No,
trying
no,
to
you're
look up
good.
stuff. All right. Um let's see the shorts. So we started this year off, I'm pretty sure, with The Dangers in My Heart, I think. Unless we didn't. We started the summer season of anime this year wasn't that great, if I remember correctly. Um, let's see. Can we sort this by something else? No. Okay, no. So yeah, that's what I remember, which is we didn't start off very well, and then we had Oshinoko during the spring season, I think, which was pretty good.
Mhm.
I still remember Insomniacs After School. Um, I remember Hell's Paradise, which I did a video on, and I started not liking because it was. It also started getting very um, politically charged.
Okay.
Um, Konosuba was back this year, which was I was very excited about because of Megumin. It was the Megumin spin-off show, if you guys were aware. What else? Kubo San won't let me be invisible, um, which I also did a review on. But in terms of like, oh, the girl I like forgot her glasses, that was surprisingly really fun to watch. Because yeah, it's literally about it's this anime about this guy following this girl who keeps forgetting her glasses, and it's actually pretty funny.
Oh,
Um,
wow, okay.
yeah. Um, Spy Family season 2. Spy Family came back this year with better animation than last year, but it was still a bit goofy in my eyes. Um, Zom 100 I started watching, but I wasn't actually happy with because it had a lot of fan service in it, and I think the teams
Gotcha.
abandoned it as well. So yeah, but in
Sheesh.
terms of but coming back to top five anime, I can give you a top three, which is I think Oshinoko was pretty good. The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses, and Free Rin, which I am nominating for Anime of the Year. But for the
Okay.
Crunchyroll Awards, it won't be Free Rin because of recency. If you weren't aware, Crunchyroll like disqualifies anime from this particular season that was released in the past 3 months because it's too recent.
Ah,
So
got you.
yeah, so that's why Bocce the Rock wasn't. nominated last year, which means I'll be voting for Bocce the Rock this year in the Crunchyroll Awards. So yeah,
Got
there's
you.
that. Oh, and of
Shit.
course I watched Jujutsu Kaisen, of course, which is yeah, there's that other one.
Got you. What? So out of those three, right? What's been like kind of the I guess I would say most impact. Well, I guess you say most impactful or something that's
Mm,
or one just the one that's been like this hits me like right in the soul, right? Where yeah.
yeah, I really liked Frieren,
Okay.
which is the recent one. The reason why I love Frieren is if you haven't watched my video yet, guys, please do watch it. I like it. It's because it's an anime about being old and how are you because um quick synopsis is that this anime is about an elf who and elves biologically have like a longer time period to live. They live for like thousands and thousands of years. um, and it's how this elf is meant to navigate like losing her best friends because her best friends she was like, oh hey, yeah, I'll come back in 50 years, guys, don't worry. And she doesn't realize that humans don't live as long as her. And when she comes back
Mm,
to her friends, like her best friend dies. And it's so cool to watch her like it wasn't super emotionally impactful, but I think it was really, really cool to just watch this anime about if you had like an infinite amount of time, if you were able to live for a very, very long period of time, I think that um, we would just be as selfish as her. And we would just be, we would take a lot of things for granted. And we wouldn't really, and I think over time we would become more grateful for the people that we have around her, for the, like the other people around us who don't live as long. So that's why I really like Freedom. It's all about gratitude, and it's all about and it's also about hating demons, which is of course that's the
mm.
big thing.
Gosh, no, that's cool. I that's on my list to check out. I saw because it seemed like it was giving like sort of a and from you explaining it, I may be wrong. It's kind of
Mm,
giving the like after you finish a mission type thing. It's like it's giving
yep.
you the backstory behind like what happens with the like in the point of
Mm,
view of this person.
mm.
Is that kind of where I'm
Oh,
hitting a little bit?
yeah, yeah. So part of the flashbacks as well. This is why I like this anime as well. I'm going to do a video on meta narratives this year as well, guys. If you don't know what meta narrative is, meta narrative is just basically stories in our society which we've told to each other. So, um, an example of a meta narrative is like money. Money is a meta narrative because money isn't really real.
Mm,
We only place a value of it because we tell stories to each other that money actually means something. So, the meta narrative of Freerun is that, hey guys, look, we should respect these heroes because they basically saved the world, and we should continue living on their memory.
mm.
And I like, and from Freerun's perspective, she's like, yeah, that's true, but they were also really, really goofy, and there's some really they weren't as perfect as you actually think they were. So yeah, that's also something that's shows up in the anime. So yeah.
Got you. That's awesome. I'm gonna check that out. I always appreciate like your videos because I always learn something from them. Especially like, I'm
Mm,
a spoiler king, so like I always just
right.
spoil myself when I'm and then when I'm on YouTube and stuff because that's everyone has something on there and all there's always the anime clips that are on there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um that's cool. Man, I'm saying my top three that which they might just be all shonen type anime just because like well, no, I'm lying. I watched I watched a romance shoujo anime called Lovely Complex. It's kind of
Mm.
like a rom com type anime. I think it came out around like 2007. Me and my wife watched it. It was hilarious. I loved it.
Oh no way.
It. Oh my goodness! It's kind of the it's navigating a friendship between a really really tall girl and a really really short guy, and they've been friends slash enemies forever. but like they kind of navigate the idea, or they're trying to win a bet between who can get a girlfriend or a boyfriend first, and like it kind
Right.
of just you know kind of the way it goes or whatever with kind of in
Yeah.
that rom com style, but it's like it's just hilarious. They kind of like I relate to this in a way where like I am a kind of I'm a short guy, and I there have been friends that I've had that were girls that were like taller than me that like I've had like enemies slash friendships with, but like
Mm.
kind of in mean I won't. I love my wife now, so like I won't talk about the idea of navigating. Oh, like what could it be like if we were together? But whatever. But it's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
high school
yeah.
romance type thing. Love You Complex. We've been watching, or I've been watching for the first time, or in High School Host Club.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
that it's ridiculous. What else have I been watching? Oh yeah, my wife is in the room. We've been watching Clannad. My first time watching Clannad.
Oh, no way! That's
Yeah, bro.
amazing.
I am like, I'm loving it. I'm I'm like, my wife is shouting from the room. I don't know what she's saying. But we've been watching Clannad, so it's been good. We're on the first season right now. I think we're in like episode like 15, 16. So it's been good so far. That's what I've been watching.
Mm,
And like I can tell it's setting you up to like kind of just like wring your heart out.
mm,
Um, but we haven't got there yet. So that's what I've been
okay.
watching as of late that I haven't finished. But what I've been kind of on JJK,
Yep.
Attack on Titan. Of course, I've been watching Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
That's kind of been like it's been something. It's been one of those animes that's like why is this it's a great anime, but I'm like,
Yeah.
dang, so much controversy. Which has been like it's kind of like my most popular video is just like like talking like Attack on Titan with controversy mixed into it, which is like kind of crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Um so I've been watching that. And what else have I been watching? I Demon Slayer, I would say is up there for me. Like I think
Yep.
the past season that came out wasn't like it was good, but it wasn't like bet this is like a really great like not compared to like the Shibuya arc that they had, but
Mm,
or not the Shibuya arc, the Entertainment District arc that they had. But I would say that's probably top three for me as for what I can think of
mm,
right now because I wish I had my list on me, but I don't. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, it's been that's been me so far.
That's good, that's good. With Clannad, yeah, prepare yourself. I was also not really expecting Clannad to be so because it's one of those big classic animes, which I've I kind of put off. And there's a bunch of classic anime that I need to catch up on as well. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, trust me, Clannad gets really, really good. So,
Oh
especially in
man.
the second season. First season, yeah, it's not even like compared to the second season. Oh my goodness. Oh my
Uh,
goodness. Um,
I I'm not ready for it. My wife was telling me a story of how she made her friend, like her high school friend, watch Clannad, and like her whole emotions and everything just changed from watching that show. I'm just like, is it that
oh
impactful?
my goodness.
Like, is
Yeah.
it really is it really gonna be like that? So like my wife like she wants me to like cry in front of her, which I've only done like
Mm,
probably like on hand like probably three times.
right.
And so I think she's hoping in the back of her mind that this is going to be the anime that breaks me. So we'll
It
see.
might. It just might, but so yeah. Don't you might want to watch my videos on it afterwards, but I did do 2 videos on Clannad as well because I did watch that earlier this year, which it's a I really shouldn't have forgotten that I watched it earlier this year. So yeah.
I got you. Questions here. What do you think of being a Christian gamers as such? What do you think of being a Christian gamer? I'm guessing that's the question. What do you think of being a Christian gamer?
Yeah. Hmm. Do you game much?
You know, I don't play like shooter games like that really.
Mm,
I have a PlayStation here, so I'll play like but I play a lot of fighter games. I'll play like a lot of open world games like Spider-Man.
mm,
I have Madden, I have sports games and stuff, but
right. Right.
but I don't play like kind of like streams, like shooter, like online shooter games. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I'm not good enough for them, so I just avoid them. Um, but yeah, that's me. Like, how about you? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, because I'm kind of the same, but I go completely different. So the only shooter game that I've played is like Pavlov, which is a VR game, and I wasn't very good at, but it's very fun because it's in VR and it's it's crazy. Um, I play a lot of strategy games, so I'm into Civilization 6. Um, I'm also pretty casual, so I've been really into Holocure, which is basically Vampire Survivors, but with a anime skin on it.
Mm,
Um, and I've also started Batman, one of the Batman games, which I forget the name of. I know it's the one that's pretty good on the Steam Deck. So, um,
okay.
I guess coming to the question in terms of what do you think about Christians gaming, I was um in one of Ruslan's streams, Zach Sparazzo was talking about how a good balance in terms of how we play games is we you just have to find a game which you can play for like 30 minutes and then put down. And I think if you I don't think it's good to be addicted to to video games because I think you could be doing so much more in your life than to be spending tons and tons of hours on video games. For me, it's video games are something to um, it's another way to like express myself politically because that's
Mm,
another reason why I like Civilization 6 because I can like play out this fantasy of building up this empire and then like taking over other empires or like spreading Christianity through like because that's one of the goals in Civ 6, which is you can make a religion and then you can like spread you can basically spread Christianity throughout the world as well. So that's one of my fantasies, which is why I like Civ 6. Um, so yeah, in short, I don't think you like video games are good to use as like a way to um cool down and a way to take a break and relax. Um, but at the same time as well, don't get addicted to them. And I think Zach Sparazza's advice, which is good as well, is to find a video game that you can just play in quick 30-minute bursts once a day, and then you can just put down the Steam Deck or you can just turn off the computer and you can walk away and do something better. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think that's good. I think it's not. Yeah, it's not. I at most for me, like, and you know, I think I don't have that much time anyway. It's just like 30 minutes, like maybe 40 minutes. Like if I get like a
Mm,
chill day, maybe an hour for sure. I'm playing the game, but like any longer than that, like I get like crazy headaches, which kind of my body's telling me like, hey, you need to stop looking at this screen and go
yeah,
outside or
yeah.
something. Um, but I think kind of Christian gamers. So I do know, right? There are niche people like especially in ministry that they have a ministry of like video games, right? Where they like try to interact with people and try to have a whole ministry through that, right? And I think, you know, I think honestly it's just like with anime, right? Where it's like there are different things for different people that, God will move your heart towards or for. And so I think, someone having a heart for the gaming community, if you're just like, hey, like I'm a Christian, I like playing video games, and you make connections through video games, like, and you want to use that as a way to bridge the gap between reaching people for the gospel, right? Because I'm assuming that the anime community, not the anime community, the gaming community it's kind of similar to the anime community in a way where there's different things that they kind of
Mm,
have barriers to Christianity that if someone in that community goes into and they tell them about the good news of Jesus that they could be exposed to. And so like I think, with anything, you could use it for God's glory. It just depends on what you're doing, right? And how you're doing it. You know what I
mm,
mean? If you're just like, hey, I'm
yeah.
playing video games for like 5 hours, but like there's really no purpose to it. Like, yeah, you can relax, you could chill, you can, make connections over playing video games with friends and stuff or family or whatever.
Mm,
But if, if you're doing it for your own self-indulgence, which I think, there's different things that God gives us
Yeah.
for us to enjoy, but if it there's with anything that we enjoy, it can become too much, right? And so,
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's a way that you can go about it. If you're a Christian gamer, right? If you want to, make this in a way your ministry, because there are people on YouTube that do this as well. Then I would say like, hey, pray about it, try to go for it. You know what I mean.
Mm.
But that's my thoughts on those. Black Shinobi says, "What anime has impacted y'all the most?"
Um, I can say for you, it's probably going to be Clanad, even though you haven't watched it. Um, I let's see. There have only been 3 or 4 anime that have made me cry, or at least that have really emotionally impacted me. So I think the first was probably 5 centimeters per second, which is it's the better movie from Makoto Shinkai. That's not Your Name. Your Name didn't impact me as much because I
Mm,
still love Your Name, but I think 5 centimeters per second is better. The second one is the A Whisker Away, which is it's another romance about this girl, the young girl trying to find herself, trying to find her identity. She becomes a cat, and then she realizes that she shouldn't be a cat because people actually care about her.
mm.
Oh, I should say 5 because there's also Whis- uh, Whisper of the Heart, which is like my favorite Ghibli movie. That's not even made by um, what's his name?
Miyazaki.
The
Miyazaki.
Miyazaki, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's my favorite Ghibli movie, even though it's not made by Miyazaki, because again, it comes into questions of like how to find what's your identity, how as a young person um, are you supposed to navigate this realm of identity as well. You'll notice a theme in these because I watched these anime while I was like a teenager as well, so that's why they were much more impactful for me.
Got
Um,
you.
yeah, the Violet Evergarden movie is also something that was really, really cool. Doing a video on that hopefully this year, but Violet Evergarden is just really good at. It's such a beautiful um, work of art. It's not merely just an anime, but it's when you watch it, the amount of effort that's been put into the animation, the music, everything about it is just a work of art, and finally culminating into the movie where they reach that climax. Absolutely beautiful, and of course Clanad as well, which is it's it's it is certainly like representative of that 2000s anime era,
Mm.
where it may not look as great, it may not have as much detail as modern anime, but it's still something from the 2000s, which I absolutely adore. So there you go. I hope that
Yeah.
answers your question, Black Shinobi.
Yeah. I think so. For me, I think the anime that has been the most impactful, for me, I would say it has been. I'm gonna say two. It's been Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter. Mainly, I watched them in
Mm,
college. And what's significant about them is not necessarily the stories, but kind of the time that I was in, right? So like being in college, my first year away from home. Well, yeah, first year away from home. I trying to find my way as a college
mm,
guy, and really just not really having friends, being alone. I think anime, when I stumbled across anime in a more serious way, I was just being exposed to more shows, watching it and stuff like Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter were one of the anime that kind of gave me comfort in the time that I
mm,
was in, mainly because it's just like and also Fairy Tail. I would honestly, I would probably say those three have been the most impactful for me, mainly because like I really enjoy like kind of this idea of friendship, right? And I really like,
mm,
throughout my own experience, especially, being in college, being a college guy, not really having friends, but then um in my experience, in my even my own Christian story, like I became a Christian in college, and through uh, you know, becoming a Christian, I got to experience a bunch of different friends that I had from all different walks of life
Mm,
and everything. And I think in all three of these shows, like you kind of have these like protagonists and or these characters like kind of have friends that come together from different walks of life, right? And they kind of forge this bond over certain trials
mm,
and things that they go through. And so, I mean, that's a theme in a lot of different shonen anime. But I think for me, those have definitely been the most impactful ones. I would say Fairy Tail is probably at the top of that list because like there's a big emphasis of friendship in that show, even though it's kind of crazy and kind of wild. But you know, you can definitely get a good laugh from it. Well, Fairy Tail is like something that you know, at least I would say it's a starter anime that I think I would recommend to anybody. So I think that's been the most impactful for me.
mm.
Um, maybe you could take this one. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, this one. I have no
Yeah.
idea who Drew Hernandez is, but the question is here: why hasn't Drew Hernandez and other right wingers called out the work's attack on anime, work translations, and work localizers? I've no idea who Drew Hernandez is. I think Vinzinger, you are very, very well acquainted with like the drama side of anime, which I'm pretty well acquainted as well, but I'm not as familiar with like um more the conservative side of the drama when it comes to anime, even though like I feel like I'm mostly aware. So um in terms of why right wingers don't call out like work attacks on anime is because I think anime is a really easy thing to trash talk. As I said at the start, right? Um there is this big cultural zeitgeist, which is if you watch anime, you won't be well respected, or you people don't respect you if you watch anime, or if that's a big part of like your personality. Um, so that's why I think like both left wingers and right wingers will attack anime. I think we did chat about this earlier in the year with Matt Walsh when he attacked anime, and the reason why he did eventually do that reaction video to like One Punch Man is because he recognizes that there's a bunch of conservatives who also do like anime, and a big part of his fan base does like anime.
Mhm.
Um, so I think it's only a matter of time that right wingers will have to like acknowledge that this is something that is pretty popular among young people, and they can't like just um, keep being annoyed at it, or keep like I don't want to say disrespect because that's really cringe. I guess they can't just like dismiss it, right?
Mm.
As this, oh, it's just a kids show. I
Yeah.
recently had an interaction on Twitter where there was this. He looked like a really a much older boomer, but he was like, "Oh, Paul writes about like as a child, I used to do childish things, but now an adult. Like I do the things that I'm butchering the verse, of course, but
Yeah.
now I'm doing the things that are meant to be for an adult. So, um, yeah, I think that's unfortunately the case with a bunch of right wingers, and like this is my this is my encouragement to you, Vinzinger, which is I think you've got a channel, you've got plenty of resources to like take you've got plenty of resources in the form of like vidIQ or Nate Black's channel where they really do give a lot of YouTube advice. So I'm pushing you to like talk about it on YouTube as well. And I know you have a channel as well because I've seen some of the stuff that you do as well. So yeah, rather than complain about it, like build your own platform as well so that you're able to have your voice heard by these people. So yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's really good advice. I think like yeah, getting in the game, right? I think it's important, right? And I think, you know, there's been an influx of like Christian YouTubers. I'm assuming Benzinger is a Christian person. So,
Mm,
um, hey, get some more people in here. You know what I mean? I think it's important. I think you're needed, right? And I think you know it's one thing like, and this is why I've been like less, or at least I felt like I've been less critical of other creators that I may necessarily disagree with or
mm,
whatever. It's just like it's way easier to like be in comments with people and like complaining about certain things that they may say or whatever. But I think like when you're on the other side of creation, it's like, oh, like this is a totally different game where it's like, you know, people saying stuff in your comments isn't like it, maybe you can ignore it, whatever. But sometimes like there's just some comments that just get under your skin, and it's like like I this doesn't suck. So I think like for me, like when I see people like getting a bunch of comments, whatever, or they're complaining about something, it's like, oh, like I understand what they're going through. I understand that like
Mm,
they may not necessarily appreciate the the comments or critique that they have, and some of the critique may be valid, right? But it's like you put yourself in their shoes, and it's like, oh, like it's very different being on the other side. So
mm.
um
Yeah, so
yeah,
true. So true.
Vinzinger,
With the
get in there.
comments, actually.
Yeah.
With the comments, actually. I think I hope you've noticed this as well, which is I feel like there are three different types of commenters on my videos, which is there's at least one. There's that bloody atheist who always
Hmm.
shows up and is like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe you think Christianity and anime are the same. Like
Hmm.
you can combine the two." Um, and then you get the same thing with like the Christian who doesn't also quite understand anime, and I also get a few of those commenters. And then the third one is like that really nice person, and I really do appreciate you guys if you comment down there and you're like, "Oh, hey, this really helped me," or this really I'm glad that there's another Christian doing anime content. So those are the kind of like the three types of comment groups which I've seen. So there's the atheist, there's the Christian who doesn't quite understand, and there's the Christian who's like also into anime as well. So
Yeah, yeah, I've gotten all three of those comments. I'm just like, what? Like, I cool. I mean, it's one thing where it's like, oh, like you're commenting on this, you're engaging with the video, YouTube's gonna do something with this. But on the other hand, it's like, like I think I laid this out clear enough for you to understand. But it's like I feel like sometimes like internet atheists sometimes just want to
mm,
argue, right? Or they just want to whatever,
yeah,
right? And for those, I'm just like, sometimes you can entertain them. Sometimes you're like, I'll let you do your thing and maybe have other people, comment on
mm,
it and stuff. And sometimes
yeah,
like it's always fun when you see like someone comment something and you have like other like Christian people like going back and forth with them and it's like, oh, you got time. I don't got time. But
yeah, yeah.
so I think that's awesome. But I definitely
Mm,
get those. So I think this is perfectly a good segue to kind of think about like goals for the year, right? Like, or goals for going into
mm.
2024. Lord willing, we make it through the whole 2024. What, like, for you, like, yo, you've, I'm assuming you crushed your goals for this year, right? What are you
Yeah,
looking forward to going, into the next year?
yeah. I'll tell you what, I've written them down. So I've been praying a lot about this. So I've I've decided. Look, the reason why I write these down is because I might surprise myself this year. But um, I've but at the same time I might disappoint myself. And the reason why I've set this as a goal is because I think it's interesting when you write something down, you think about it a lot, and you commit to actually doing it. So this isn't a reflection on like my um this is more of a reflection of my ambition rather than my confidence in it. So my goal for by the end of this year is 100,000 subscribers. Um, so and I know it's crazy. I don't think I could reach 100,000 subscribers, but that's something that um while I was writing down my goals for the year, because I've got other goals other than YouTube.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like that's something that God has really pushed me to think where else I could go. Because my original goal was 10,000 subscribers, but I was like, what if I hit 100,000 subscribers this year? So yeah,
Mhm.
I want to be in a mindset where I'm gonna push as many videos as possible out so that I do actually get close to that goal. So um, I always hate saying that I'll do 2 long form videos a month because I never do it. I've said it like halfway through the year where I'll do two videos a month, but it never happens. So hopefully we'll eventually do that. So I've got a long list of anime which I've got recommended from you guys. So I'm gonna go through them. Hopefully for this year. So and monetization. So those are my three big YouTube goals, which is 100,000 subscribers, monetization, and 2 long form videos a month. Shorts can do whatever. So
Mhm.
there you go.
Bro, I think that's a really great goal. I think 100K. I think you could do it. Like honestly, like
Yeah.
I think it's it's possible, especially like with the way the anime is going right now. Like, I mean, at least I don't see it slowing down anytime soon, and I think more people are
Mm,
consuming it. I think and your content is great, right? I think your videos are put together really well, and so
mm.
I think you could do it, bro. Like, I mean, even if you fall short of it, I think like you could definitely like amass a lot of people
Yeah.
over the course of this year, right? Because I think, hey, I mean, I think you got to figure. Well, YouTube changes like probably like every other month, whatever. But it's just like I feel like you got to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And as you said, unless we get another couple of seasons where we just get really bad anime and there's no like good anime, which I considering we've had like one season where there was like no good anime, which was the start of this year. Unless we get another few seasons of that, I don't think anime is slowing down. And and there's still going to be a big amount of people who watch it, even if it does like I don't think it'll ever decrease, right? So yeah, because we'll always get like people who do watch anime and do enjoy it. So yeah.
hmm
In terms of your goals, though, I'm interested. What are your goals?
Man, so what's crazy is that I was thinking about this like probably like for a month now. Um, and I was talking to I was talking to one of my friends. He's a manga creator, and I was just like,
Mm,
yo, like I'm having a hard time figuring out what I want to do next. 'Cause I feel like I hit this point where like I got to 1K. I'm like, what's next? And like I mean, that feels like kind of crazy to say because there's always more to do when like
yeah.
after you hit a goal, whatever. But like I'm just like in my own like personal like I think I've been finding it hard to like keep the motivation, which I think it's exciting now where I'm like, oh, bet like I there is reason for me to continue to going because I put down goals. I actually wrote down goals today, and lined them out while I was talking to my friend today, and
Mm,
um, I think I moved away from less from like kind of getting to the subscriber number goal, and more so like trying to uh put goals down that more or less I could control, and then maybe the numbers just follow, right? And I have like I down on my goal sheet or whatever. I have like hopes and dreams for 2024 for the channel,
mm,
which I'll share those or whatever. But my goals for sure. I want to upload 1,000 videos on my YouTube channel, and
ooh.
that's including long form and short form, right? So if I put together if I try to do like 1,000 like long form videos, I would kill myself. Like it would not be possible for me to do that. But I think with shorts, and I think with like with YouTube putting out the shorts feature where you get to like link your long form video to the short, I think
Yeah.
I want to use that to my advantage because I'm assuming, at least I'm tricking my mind to believing that when I'm putting out shorts, people are going back to my long form videos and watching them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I definitely want to do that. I definitely think that I want to like, when people come to the page or whatever, that they see like a number of like, oh, this isn't just someone that's just starting out. This is someone that's been doing this for a little bit, if it's been
Mm,
like 2 years. So definitely 1,000 videos for me on YouTube. Um, my second goal is I want to niche down even more, right? So I think in our niche, right, we're already niching down to like being Christian anime YouTubers, which I think in Christian
mm,
YouTube and also in anime YouTube or any tube, they're already niche down a lot, right? Because we're just like there's this
mm,
distinct like brand that we're putting out to people for people to watch. And even within our own channels, like they're even niche down even more, where you're like more in the
mm,
conservative politics space, right? Where for me, I'm like, oh, like I can talk about like shonen anime or whatever, talk about cultural issues that
mm,
are going on within my own sphere space or whatever, which I think is really cool. Which I think there's a variety that we offer to bring to the table. But I think I was talking to my friend today. He was like, "Yo, like I was thinking about niching down even more." I'm like, "Oh, how do I do that? Right? Like, how do you niche down when you already niche down, right?" And I think it's taking me some time to think about. But it's more importantly is for me to do this for me to reach a bigger audience, right? Or reach a different audience. So that means like, oh, like
yeah.
could I like start making my will start putting my videos up onto like a podcast platform and putting them out there so people that can just
Mm,
listen to them audio version or something. So something along those lines. So definitely leashing down for sure, trying to figure that out. And my last one, which is like is forming a tighter community that has Christians and non-Christians engaging with each other. So I think the community
mm,
tab is like perfect for that, where you get to like engage with people and talk to people and stuff, but also have people
mm.
comment on your things as well. Um, but yeah, I think this is important because I think like I think for anything to be sustainable, right? I think, and you already know this, like, hey, having community behind you that's supporting what
Yeah,
you're doing. So I think trying to figure out a way, like, hey, how can I make this in a way where like I can get a community formed, which I think has already been forming, but I think have a community be formed where they're just like engaging with each other and also engaging with the the content that's being put out. So whether
yeah,
that's like I have this lofty goal of one day getting merch out there, that's a ways off for sure, but I think that could be something where it's like, oh, bet this could be something that can get a community, more engaged with what I'm doing and stuff.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, those are my goals for 2024 for sure. My hopes and dreams for 2024 for sure is 10,000 subs. So your goal for for this past
yeah,
year is definitely my goal for this year. Getting to 10,000 subs for sure. Definitely wanting to get monetized for sure. Um, I yeah, I think that's what I got for right now.
yeah. No, that's so cool. That's so cool. I think, yeah, because obviously you've approached your goals very differently from mine. I think the 1,000 videos thing is, oh my goodness, I don't think I'd be able to do 1,000 videos. Um, 'Cause yeah, um, it's something that I've been thinking about as well with like the because this has also been the challenge of this year, which is how do we actually use shorts? Because shorts are, I really appreciate shorts because I think that's the thing that's been pushing my channel
Mhm,
to the point that it is now. But trying to convert shorts viewers to long form video viewers is really, really difficult. Um,
mm,
and yeah, because making a short is such a different way of thinking, and you have to really smush everything down into like Nate Black was talking about, like putting it into 13 seconds, which I don't think I would be able to. I've tried my best to like give information in 13 seconds, but yeah, it's really difficult to do as well. So yeah, um, so in saying that as well, I think yeah, it's cool. I think that's the as you said, like we only get better by making as many videos as we can and keeping maintaining that like creative muscle in ourselves and that creator muscle, I should say, to how to edit and how to make thumbnails for a video, uh, speaking more confidently, trying
mhm.
new things in terms of videos as well. So not doing the same thing. So yeah, so true, so true.
Yeah, nah, that's good, man. What do you like? Um, I guess going forward, like, has like the goal for you as far as like when people are finding your channel, like what they get out of it,
Mm,
has it been the same, or is it changing going forward? Like, or is it tweaking a little bit? It's like, hey, like this is what I
yeah,
want
yeah.
people to get out of my channel when they come across it.
Mm. Yeah, I think yeah, because it comes back to that the ongoing series I have, which is what makes a Christian anime, which is because that's the thing that kind of blew up my channel, which is my first video, which really blew up, was Bocce the Rock is a Christian anime, and I
Mhm,
think it's so novel, right? To say it's leaning into the meme, which is like, oh no, this isn't a Christian, which people use ironically to say this isn't a Christian anime because of they're talking about like fan service or anime which is really sexually charged, and they talk about like, oh hey, you can't show this in a Christian anime. So I want to really make that I'm going to speak more to like the meta narrative side of it, because I think that's what's powerful, which is it doesn't have to be, I don't want to say it doesn't have to be true, but I want to create more of a culture where it's like where we can say this is a Christian anime, because we can see even in a country as atheist as Japan, we can observe the ways that they can reflect God's morality or Christian values as well.
Mhm.
Um, and that's why I say this is a Christian anime, because it doesn't have to be like the creator isn't necessarily Christian, but there is power in the meta narrative when we say this is a Christian anime. It's because you can see even in this country that God's morality is still there, and
Mhm.
even in this country, or when we're talking about like Christianity as well, I want to show people that Christianity isn't just about like it isn't like this really big organization, or it's not this big institution where that's very mean and it's not very nice to people. I want to show people that these are the values that Christians represent, not just like the we're anti LGBT, or we're um anti all of these things. I want
Mhm.
to show that no, like Christianity is also in favor of friendship, of community, of building each other up, right? When I was talking about JJK, it's about the sanctity of life, that we want to
Mhm.
protect people, and that's why we want, it's all about self-sacrifice as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the I also do want to do a bit more commentary as well, because I feel like that's been missing from my channel when there's so many different events going on, and I feel like that are Christian anime adjacent.
Mhm.
Not necessarily talking about anime, but like talking about like Japan or VTubers or different types of drama that happens in regard to anime as well. So I do want to delve into that sort of commentary as well. So
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think I'm looking forward to like how your channel evolves like over the course of the year. Also, just
mm,
what I can learn too. Like I think I'm always just like from there's different YouTubers that I just like. I'm trying to get into myself just learning from different people, right? When I'm watching the
yeah.
videos or whatever. And so like whether that's like a Ruslan or whether that's like a Sean Cannell or whether that's a Nate Black or whatever, or even you, I'm like, oh, what can I take in order that I can like implement in my like next video, or what can I do to make this better or that better, because like you guys do it way better than I could. um
Mm.
so I'm looking forward to how you progress over the year and what happens with that.
Hey, hey. It's all about that journey. So yeah, I'm also really excited for your channel as well, because yeah, it's crazy. As I said at the start, like 1,000 subs in a year. It's amazing. It's truly something cool. It's also good with your niche as well. I know a bunch of you guys have been recommending to me a bunch of shonen anime, and I might have to just like defer you to Eli here on Anime Relatable, because you've done a bunch of videos on shonen anime, and I haven't my anime viewing habits are a lot more it's very very varied. I don't just watch shonen anime. I watch romance or slice of life
Hmm.
and fantasy anime as well. So it's not just shonen. So
Yeah.
but you have like a video on Attack on Titan, when I've got people like recommending me, oh hey, why didn't you do a video on Attack on Titan? Like, you've got a video already. Why don't they just watch your video? So um yeah, there's those sorts of things, which I think it's good, because you're able to do the things which people want as well. So like I'm not able to watch every anime, and I'm not able to um minister to every need that everyone has. So yeah, it's I'm glad for your channel as well, that you're able to um talk about shonen anime as well, to an extent that I can't really talk about. So
Yeah, I mean, in the same vice versa, right? I think there's like literally there's stuff like there's stuff included right now that's like I feel like it's going over my head, that like I have to like
yeah.
ask my wife like, what just happened? Like, how do I like what is this character? And I think like for like even for you, like like you speak to certain anime and certain different, and like you watch anime and that I haven't even heard of or even watched just yet,
Mm.
in which you can speak to it in a depth of where it's like, oh dang, like you communicated that way better than I could. So it's like, hey, let me just refer you to this to Christian anime podcast, because it's like it's way better that I could offer. And so I think that's what's great about like kind of what we're doing, right? It's just like there's this like I said before, like a variety of like what we have to offer, and
Mm,
and perspectives that we can give, right? And even if you do cover like a shonen anime, right? Because JJK, right? Like
mm,
you're
yeah,
covering that, right? And like you're going to offer perspective that may be different from my perspective that like I
yeah,
give as well. And
yeah.
so I think that's what's really needed. um Man, I think maybe got a few more minutes. Like, guys, if you have questions, definitely feel free to put them in the chat.
Yeah, we'll want to wrap up pretty soon now. So
Yeah, I'm getting pretty hungry. But what are you looking um what are you looking for? Like, what are you looking, or how are you hoping? No, I asked that question already. Let's see. This is what's great about live. I could just chop this up after. Um Man, what has been like as of late, and we may have already touched on this, like the response, like being like you're almost 3K in the game, right? Like, and you've been doing
mm,
this for a little bit. What's been the response from people like watching your videos lately? Has there been anything that's been encouraging to you, for you to like a comment that you've gotten, or
yeah, yeah,
a response to a video that like, oh, like that has kind of like encouraged you to keep going? Like, what's motivating you to keep
yeah,
going, like in this journey of Christian anime YouTube? um yeah.
yeah. Um, I think this is why I really appreciate comments. It's because you show that there's actually people. It shows that people are actually watching my stuff, and this isn't all for nothing. Even though I'm not making money off of this, I'm still happy that I'm making a impact in these people's lives. Um, I think the one big standout from this year, I did a video on Onimai, which is um it's this anime that talks about like it's supposed to be a joke anime, but in the
Mhm.
context of the stuff that we in terms of the trans trenders, um it was very relevant because this anime is basically about this older brother who doesn't really do anything in his life and is basically a failure compared to his younger sister who's basically a scientist. And he's like she's basically a scientist and she's amazing in every manner. And this older brother um drinks this potion that makes him into a that de-ages him and also makes him into a girl. So that's why it was very relevant to like the transgender issue, because it's like, oh, it's basically a trans anime. So I did a
Mm.
video on that. I was talking about how because I love the art style of anime as well. But yeah, having that pretext of like this, it's a anime talking about trans issues. Um, yeah, so I did that video. It wasn't really a collab. It was inspired by like this tweet from my good friend Mento, a Welshman, on Twitter, where he talked about like how he wasn't really seduced into becoming trans, but it was like he was um when watching this anime, he was like really um he became more sympathetic to that idea of if you are this guy who's basically a failure in life, you can just become a girl, which of course we shouldn't do. You should be like if you're facing this issue, I think you should be confident that God gave you this body, and you should be confident in your identity that you find in the gender and sex that God has given you. So
Mhm.
that video is my most disliked video because you have a bunch of atheists who are like, no, I don't. Like you think like you're just not very accepting to trans people, and that's why you think that this anime is bad.
Mm.
And there's a bunch of comments like that if you scroll down on that video, and some of them are very funny, and some of them are very passionate. And when I do get comments like that from internet atheists, I don't respond to them because they're not my audience, and I don't feel like I do have to answer to them because they're obviously not subscribed to me and they're not part of the Christian anime podcast community. But there was one comment from that, and it was like it was a basic thank you. I've been facing these issues in my life, and I thank you that you've told me that God has told me that I should be confident in my gender. It's something to that effect.
Mm,
And I think I that comment, out of all of it may be my most disliked video. It may be my like it it may have been popular for like the wrong reasons. And I didn't even watch anime, but that was the video that really pushed me, and I think God was really showing me that this sort of stuff can help people, and I
mm,
can actually minister to these people's lives. I think it's so tragic that the person who commented, like, there wasn't a person in their life, like there wasn't a friend or family member that was able to tell them that no, you should be confident in the gender and sex and the body that God gave you. And I think that's absolutely tragic. So I really thank God that I don't know where my content's gone off to, and I don't know whose lives I'm impacting as well. I think it's so good that God is able to do that with the internet. And we talk about the algorithm like it's this big mysterious thing, but I honestly truly think that God uses the algorithm to help people in that way as well. So um, yeah, I've ranted a bit long, but yeah, that's basically. I think that's also pushed me to really invest more in this channel, and really do a lot more videos, because I really don't know who I'm talking to, or I don't know the sort of people who are watching my videos. Because whether it's like 20 people watching a video, or a couple hundred, or even like 5,000 with my latest free run video, I don't know who these people are, but it's so good that um, I'm able to speak to this sort of audience.
yeah.
Um, yeah, from the comfort of my home as well. So there you go.
That's amazing. That's amazing, bro. It really is cool that like the internet, like what we have, like that is disposable at like our fingertips, like is so impactful to people. I mean, they see someone that can like speak to the issues that they're going through, or like they can relate to someone. Like, to I think getting that comment is like yeah, I think it means a lot more to like to you than like than it should, right? Because I think it's like, yo, like these
Mm,
are people that I don't necessarily know or whatever, but like having someone to be like, hey, I like I'm walking through this. Thank you for your encouraging words, or like, thank you for drawing this out. I didn't really, see this. Or like for me personally, when I see like, people comment and they're just like, yo, like I didn't know that there was a Christian anime YouTube here. Like, I'm glad I found you. I'm just like, oh wow, I'm glad that you found me. You know what I mean? I think, having comments like that is something that's like, yeah, I think they're needed, right? I think there's grace
mm,
in like I think God giving those comments and being like, hey, like it's okay for you to be doing this, right? 'Cause I think there could be some doubts for sure. It's like, yo, should I even be
yeah.
doing this right now, right? But like there's moments where like God gives you those like glimpses of like, hey, like you're okay. Keep going. You keep doing it. And like, and I think getting those comments is really, really special. So I'm grateful. Like just like you, I'm grateful when, I get those types of comments, or when someone's like, hey, like you
Mm,
really helped me, or you're helping me, or encouraging me to like with me going through this stuff right now.
mm.
Um so that's good. um
Last question, I suppose, for
this yep.
this evening, this American evening and Australian morning, I should say.
Yeah. Oh, it's morning over there?
Yeah, it's morning. It's like what's 9 a.m. already? Oh, almost 10 a.m. Actually.
Wow, that's amazing. That's crazy. Um, what do you think of gaming stores that has TCG and game boards?
What is DCG? Goodness,
TCG. Andrew,
trading
if you're
card
still,
games. Oh, trading
oh,
card games.
okay.
I think.
Gaming
Do you
stores
have a
that
strong
has
opinion on like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon, or like,
not really. I think it's been honestly like it's been a while since I've had like Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon cards, and it's been a while since I've watched like any of the series. Um, So I don't really have too much of a strong opinion on it.
mm,
Um, I wonder where this question is coming from.
yeah.
What
I know I'm aware that there's a big group of like I wasn't alive during like the 80s or 90s when like Pokemon cards were really popular, but I'm aware like there was a big group of very not very powerful, but there was like a strong group of like Southern Baptist slash charismatic Christians who are very, very against Pokemon because this was like demonic for some
Mm,
reason, and I've no idea. So I think that's what the question is coming from. So if I hope that's where you're coming from, mate. That I don't think, just like anything that I think we should be very careful when you call things demonic. I think we should be very careful, and the reason why is because we don't want to be giving credit to the to the devil over things
mhm.
that he has no control over. And when we call things demonic, we sound crazy, and I'm sure there are concerns that you have for like Pokemon, right? But it to me, Pokemon is like I'm sure this isn't like your from your perspective, the commenter who's saying this, Andrew. Um, but yeah, when you say things are demonic, we really shouldn't, unless we have like proper evidence that this thing is really demonic. It's just
Mhm.
kind of crazy over Christmas when there was a bunch of Christians saying, "Oh, hey, Christmas is actually satanic, and we shouldn't be putting up Christmas trees." Oh my goodness, this has been debunked already, and there's no like clear connection between like Christmas trees and Satan, just as there is no strong connection between Pokemon and Satan either. So yeah,
Mhm.
um, if that's kind of the position that your question is coming from. Otherwise, I think in terms of board games, it's the same thing with any other form of media, which is I think board games are very expensive. Same with Lego, and that's why I don't really buy board games, um,
Yeah.
and it's not really my hobby. So because they're bloody expensive. Um, so it's just like any other hobby or any other medium, which is, I think you can honor God in those things and don't fall into sin and don't get addicted in those things. So yeah.
Yeah.
And I think with Pokemon cards as well, like I've seen videos where they spend millions and millions of dollars, not millions, but like they spend a pretty sizable amount of money to get like these trading cards packets so they can open it. It's a bit like gambling, but it's with trading cards, right? So yeah. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm in the same I remember being on TikTok. I deleted TikTok because I just can't do it anymore. Especially,
Amen, brother.
bro,
Amen.
especially because like with everything that's going on in the world right now, like that's literally was all on the feed. I'm just like, for the sake of my sanity, after that last Attack on Titan video, I was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. I'm out of here. Um, but I remember being on there and I saw like a YouTube video of a Christian creator talking about Pokemon and how like Pokemon is connected to like the demonic and like because of the way the characters or creatures were created. I'm going through the
Mm,
comments and people are like, hey, this isn't based off of like anything demonic. Like the creator got inspired from like I think plants or something. And I'm
right.
how like it's kind of crazy how like quick we're like so quick to be like, yeah, this is demonic, this is of the devil, and this is like, I'm sure you can look at the context of this and see that this is not demonic, and that there's imagination, that's god-given imagination or creativity that someone has, and they're like incorporating it into what they're making and stuff. And so it's kind of crazy and it's
Mm,
kind of sad that we can like so quickly write something off as demonic when when it's not. Have you heard
yeah.
of Chris Pratt, J.K. Rowling, and Jason David Frank? How about Halloween and St. Patrick's Day? Um, Andrew, I have thoughts and opinions on it, but if it's not, if it can be anime related or anything pertaining to us, that would be amazing. Sorry, I don't. I hope that
Yeah.
doesn't come off as being a jerk.
Yeah.
But
Spells Andrew. We are an anime podcast, so
yeah. Um, if Yeah, no. Any last minute thoughts before we wrap up?
no, that's all. That's all. I think just with anyone watching, right? I'm very careful to like say, "Oh, I'll give you advice if you want to watch if you want to do a YouTube channel." No, I won't give you advice if you want to start a YouTube channel. But there are certainly resources out there like vidIQ, and Nate Black as well is a very very helpful creator to in terms of if you do want to start a YouTube channel. And I would encourage you if that is something that God is call like God is really pushing you to do, then do it. I think that's something that's the reason why I've done it. It's because I felt like I wasn't really as a university student, I'm not really doing anything. I don't.
Mm.
I've got a lot of free time, and I think that's something that God has put on my heart to engage in, right? So yeah, that's kind of my final thought as well, which is if you do want to do YouTube, it's going to be difficult. It's not easy, but if it's something
Mm.
that you feel like your life situation is made you capable of doing that, like a couple of hours on the side, then do it. Totally do it. So
Yeah. I would definitely say too, adding on to that, it's worth it, right? I think, within it, obviously it's like, it's gonna take commitment to do things, right? And I think like you can get very easy into comparison, wanting to grow quickly, right? Because I think, when you see big YouTubers, you get inspired at first to be like, yo, I want to do that too. And then like when you're, starting to create videos and uploading, you're like, oh, I only have like 10 views. Like, what's going on here? Right. So I think it can be very discouraging at first. But I think, in the long run, like in having a long view, of things is definitely worth it, right? And I think it's it's worth being creative if you are have some type of passion or something. If you want to be another Christian anime YouTuber, I'm sure we need more, right? Like I think it'd be worth
mm,
it to get into the space, right? Because like I think I hear a lot of YouTubers, especially YouTube like helping creators, right? That they want to help you grow your channel. That they're always like, hey, it's always a good time to get in YouTube because like there's always new people and joining or there's people new people to find. There's different niches that that are out there that people want to engage in, and you could be the person to you know engage with those people and that. So it's definitely worth it if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel. I would say start one, but just like Patson, I can't help you or give you advice. There's plenty of resources for that. So,
yeah.
um, but yeah, with that being said, bro, thank you for hopping on and celebrating the
Not a
year,
problem.
reflecting on
Mm,
the reflecting on 2023, 2024. Hopefully, will be a great one where we are both
mm.
at 10K and 100K, celebrating our milestones with monetization.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, yeah. Um,
Cool.
do we want to pray actually before we head off?
Yeah, yeah, I would love that. You wanna
Um,
start and I close?
oh yeah, sure, 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 sure. So,
Cool.
yeah. Yeah, dear God, I thank you that we've been able to gather together. We've been you've been so gracious to us, Lord, for not only us as creators, but the audience that we have. We've been so gracious to all of us. I pray, Lord, for anyone who is feeling troubled, that you may comfort them through our videos, that you are reflected through all of our videos into the coming year, that we don't lose sight of the reason why we're doing this, and the reason why we're doing this is you, Lord. I pray that we don't get distracted by our pride, or we don't get distracted by any of these other things that may distract from you, Lord. So um, for all of us, not just the both of us, me and Eli, Lord, we pray that um, that you will be magnified throughout all of these things.
Mm, yeah, Lord. God, thank you, God, just for this time, being able to go live, to be able to reflect on the year, Lord, to be able to talk about the successes, Lord, to talk about the things that we've, struggled with, Lord, to talk about the things that you've just blessed us with, God. And yeah, we just lift you up. We give you glory, God, and knowing that you are the reason why we do this, Lord. We want to be able to impact the anime community, Lord, for your glory, Lord, knowing that there are people there that you want and that you want to bring them into relationship with you. And God, I ask that you would use us, Lord, and also just bring more people, Lord, that want to also make content, Lord, in this space, Lord, to be able to point to your glory, God. And God, I just ask that you would just be over our efforts, Lord, in 2024, Lord. You know of what we want to, accomplish and establish, Lord. But it's Lord's like, we make plans, Lord, but you're the one that establishes them, God. So I ask that you would give us favor, Lord, in what we desire to do, but also, Lord, keeping you first, Lord, keeping you as the main thing, God. God, I ask that people listening to this now live and who will listen to it after, Lord, that they would be blessed by this, Lord, but also want to continue to, you know, engage, but also be inspired to make stuff on their own, Lord. To also just be able to want to create content, Lord, or do whatever they're doing, Lord, to make an impact, to be purposeful in what they do. So God, we lift you up, we praise you, and we love you. In Jesus' name, Amen.
Amen. Okay, all good.
Cool, cool. All right,
Um,
guys.
sorry. Yeah, I see that question there, Andrew. So very quickly before we go, yeah, fiction is not reality, but always follow your conscience. Even if it's fiction, you might still be sinning. So especially with sexual imagery, don't touch it. So there you go. That's it.
That's a good wrap up. All right. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're watching this after, feel free to leave a comment. Let us know your questions or thoughts. And we will catch you guys later.